And we're back with Philip Smith. He's the founder and president of the National African American Gun Association. And before we went to break, you mentioned something about competitive shooting. Now, that's something that you guys really focus on in terms of getting people to get more involved in competitive shooting. Am I correct?
Yeah, we're trying to really trend toward that right now. We've got, just kind of give you a little backdrop, we have a huge amount of African-American military active and retired joining, as well as law enforcement active and retired. And a lot of those guys and gals can really shoot. And this is my own personal dream. I'd love to have a team that competes. So right now we're really trying to get some, 4 or 5 people that are really, really efficient at a high level to perform. But right now it's kind of a sore spot because we're not doing very well with that. So,
where's the weak point in that?
Well, I think it's just messaging. Getting because we have a new national director of training, by a guy by the name of Mitchell, and really, really talented. He does a lot of security work nationally. He's the bodyguard of NRATV. I mean, he's really sharp.
Yeah.
And he's really a competitive guy. So he's kind of got on board. And he said, "Hey, Phil, you need to really kind of straighten this out." And he's kind of taking it by the reins and literally pulling it away from me because I don't do very well with it, and really trying to get a good team established. And I think we'll do well this year or the next year with him at the reins. Okay.
Now you mentioned you said he was the bodyguard for NRATV.
Okay. NRATV.
Yeah. So now you being from Cali, I don't know how involved you are on the scene out there in California or were involved out there. As far as Black entertainers are concerned, what typically tends to be the kind of outlook when it comes to what you do? Have you encountered any of that at all?
I've been given, or the organization has been given donations, anonymously, and with the donation will come a note, "Hey, I'm an entertainer, but I'm not going to tell you my name, or because of whatever reason. I support your efforts." Typically, it's that kind of thing. I have not had any direct conversations, really, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of folks that are entertainers that are secretly kind of say, I'm pro-gun, and in California, that's not a good place to be because you are literally kind of hung out there and left to dry.
Yeah, and I keep trying to remind people about that all of the time. The issue with firearms in this country is a cultural war, because you have places like California, and you're right. And I've heard it myself. You have a lot of these individuals, these actors, these entertainers, influencers, who are pro-gun but can't come out as pro-gun because they start to jeopardize their livelihood. When you put people's back up against the wall, they're probably going to stay quiet and continue to make a living. But while at the same time, supporting exactly what you're doing. You had a chance to attend the Black Lives Matters tour in Atlanta. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's with Maj
Toure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did attend.
Did I say what was it? Black Guns Matter.
Yeah, that was my first time. I really hadn't had any interaction with them. They had a great turnout. Definitely his message resonated with the group in terms of going out and get training. He indicated, at the time, a lot of those folks come to our group because we're locally based. Aside from leading our national chapter, I do lead the Bass Reeves Gun Chapter in Atlanta, which is the largest African-American gun club in the U.S. 500 members, very, very active. And a lot of those folks that attended that particular, arrangement or the conference with Maj certainly kind of transitioned over to us, or are transitioning over to us right now.
Gotcha. And so now, in starting the organization, how long has it been organization been in existence?
It started February 28th, 2015, in honor of Black History Month. And let me make sure I get this across. When I first started, it was just a trinkle, 4 or 5 people a day. And I was happy. I'd run down the hall. I thought it'd be anything. But now it's just literally blown up. We're getting 50 to 100 people a day joining nationwide. We now have 13 chapters. We have members in every state of the union. Wow. We are just getting incredible growth. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it would be this. I didn't. I just thought it'd be kind of a little thing I did, kind of farting around, and that was it. But it's just grown into this animal that is far beyond, my wildest dreams.
Yeah, I think sometimes we fall victim to the propaganda ourselves. I think, you may have started it knowing that there were some people out there, but I think, and I did the same thing. You may underestimate the people who are actually interested in something like this. And I think, in a lot of ways, on a subconscious level, we internalize what they tell us on the media, that, Black people don't like guns. Black people, they come out with all these random polls and all these random stats. And then we kind of almost fight the narrative that we actually know to be the case in our own reality. And so, I think that's very interesting. Now, is your group also involved in safety education as well?
Yeah, that's one thing why we have a national training and safety director right now, with Mitchell O'Neill. His sole focus is to have an established, entrenched training program officially within the organization. Right now, we're kind of doing it as needed as we go through our daily, our monthly get-togethers on day-to-day basis. But he's there to make it official. He's here to standardize the NAAG training. So if you go to one NAAG chapter in Connecticut, you get the same training and the same process in Georgia or Alabama or Tennessee or Connecticut, whatever. So we're on the right road. We're taking baby steps. We realize we're really small, but we're growing very fast. And when you grow fast, you have to make some quick adjustments. And I think we're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, are there any other initiatives that you guys are engaged in?
We're just trying to really focus on the youth. We have some efforts. There's a national organization I won't mention now, but I'm pretty sure you can put it together, that has kind of reached out to us and said, we'd like to work with you guys. We have a lot of Black young men that need assistance and guidance, and maybe they can partner with you guys and help help them move along in life. And we're certainly going to do that. Also, there's just a tremendous amount of energy that we're seeing, and it's, as I said before, it's very surprising, almost to the point where it's like a groundswell of people saying, "Hey, Phil, I want to join. What can I do? Hey, Phil, this and that." And so it's really interesting, and we'll definitely try to, I guess, go ahead and do the right thing. But it's kind of interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, I know it can be a bit of a tricky issue when we start talking about youth and firearm ownership in the Black community because of the stereotypical understanding of Black on Black violence and in the younger generation. How do you navigate around that? Because for other cultures, it's just understood. You teach firearm safety, you teach them how to own a gun responsibly, and then that's that. But there's this cloud that kind of hangs over the idea of young Black males learning responsible gun ownership.
Yeah. Well, for us, we automatically look at the big elephant in the room. We address it. Typically, Black men and the word gun together, or young Black men and gun, there's a negative social connotation, a social narrative. What our job is to do is use that as a teaching point to anyone or any group that says, I think that might be a dangerous thing. We say, no, these are the reasons why. We have trained professionals, we've got certified instructors, we have adults monitoring the whole process, we have range officers, we have an educational process where the kids will sit down and are first educated on what a gun is to do and what not to do. So there's a slow process and a very thorough process before any child will be able to come out there. So we're very thoughtful in that process. We don't want to just jump and hand a 17-year-old kid a gun. That's not going to happen at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I totally understand. It's definitely something that's one of the more kind of unique aspects of being young Black and involved in firearms is kind of navigating around that rhetoric because of, from an optics standpoint, what it looks like.
Exactly.
And one thing that really frustrated me was this notion that when I would fight for the Second Amendment, especially for people living and what is understood as the inner city, the response was always, so you just want to dump more guns in the hood? I'm like, that's not what this is about.
Right.
I think
to me, it's about empowering the people that are living in those hoods.
Absolutely.
That are lawful, law-abiding citizens that need that firearm to protect themselves. That single mom that's in that apartment at 2 a.m. when 2 guys bust in, she needs to have something to stop that threat. Absolutely. And having a gun is not a bad thing. For me, it's also a moral issue. You can't legislate a person who doesn't have a moral base.
Yep.
In addition to that, if you put a person in a quote unquote ghetto, no job, lack of opportunity, inferior education, 2 or 3 felonies, they're going to do what they have to do to survive. Yep. And oftentimes that is violence. So how do you protect yourself against that? You get a gun, and that's the only way, as far as my perspective.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people underestimate the conditions and what they can lead people to do. And what they feel that they're forced to do in that sense. And then unfortunately, there are some people who live in the same environments who may find themselves victims to those, those people who are reacting to whatever conditions they feel that they're dealing with.
Exactly.
And it bothers me, it frustrates me because it's like, well, the only difference between those people in the inner cities, so to speak, and everyone else is they just may not have the financial resources that somebody else may have. But for some reason, when we start talking about guns, they start talking to them as if they're second-class citizens or children incapable of being able to handle the responsibilities of firearm ownership.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that point. We have to start looking at people that live in quote-unquote urban areas with a little more, I guess, latitude, give them a little more leeway, because they're able to make decisions just like anyone else living in a rural area. They need to protect themselves, and why not get a gun to do that?
Absolutely. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll come back.
Thank you.